Hello, beautiful, and welcome back to our series on deep tissue cleansing. And today we are going to be talking about the mental, emotional, spiritual aspects, again, of this work, and why we don't want to go too fast, and why it's all about just taking the next step for us. And I just want to address some of the cul-de-sacs we can get into, and how to sort of get ourselves out of them when we get into them. So, another big thing that I really want to say, okay, with this work, with doing this deep tissue cleansing work, and even just listening to this theory, like before we've even done anything about this, before we apply this to our lives, just as we're looking at our own bodies and our own physical issues and our own mental issues and our own emotional issues, as we start to talk about this stuff and as we start to implement these things, it is going to stir stuff up for you. Okay? We talked about this, right? Like the awakening process in the body is all about awakening stored toxins and pushing them back through the bloodstream. And that doesn't feel good, right? That feels uncomfortable. This is the exact same thing. This is a metaphor. This is a representation, a physical manifestation of what's going on all these other levels, however you want to look at it, of what we're all doing to ourselves mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. The same way that we store toxins out of circulation, out on the periphery, not looking at it. Yes, that is directly correlated. That is a physical manifestation of a coping mechanism. That when we have a false belief, we have false beliefs about ourselves, and we have false beliefs about the reality. They're painful. They hurt. They limit our capacity to create. Yes? They are fractions of truth, incomplete versions of truth. And rather than processing them so that we can be liberated, as we've talked about, yeah, we store them away. We create a coping mechanism, so that we don't have to question our reality. We don't have to question how we're seeing reality. We don't have to question our painful thoughts and beliefs, because that is hard and scary and confusing work. It doesn't feel good to do that. So we develop coping mechanisms to make life easier right now, to make life less painful right now, as our painful core, out of alignment with truth, as in fractions of truth, beliefs, and mindsets come to the surface, rather than processing that and expanding our consciousness so that we can be more liberated. And we do this physically the exact same way we do it mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. So as we get into this deep tissue cleansing work, right, everything we do on the physical level is going to be mirrored on the mental, emotional, and spiritual level as well. As you do this work, your limiting beliefs are going to come to the surface. You're going to have thoughts, you're going to have ideas, you're going to have perceptions that do not feel good to you. And that is the awakening process. Just like in the physical body, when we awaken toxins, it doesn't feel good. When they're circulating back in the circuit, it doesn't feel good. The processing phase is difficult. The liberation phase, elimination phase, is difficult. But on the other side, we feel better. We're more capable. Right? The blocked energy that was hindering our bodies from operating in an optimal way is unblocked. And we've learned something. We know something now we didn't know before. And so the body is even more intelligent through that process of having taken in a toxin, storing it, coping with it, then processing it, then liberating itself. That is how we grow. That is how the human body becomes more capable. So this is why toxins are not wrong. It is through the taking in of the toxin and then the processing and the elimination that actually creates the strength of the body, that builds the body. So, and again, it's not to say that that means like just go wild toxifying yourself because it's going to build the body, but it's to say that that phase and that part of the journey of life is helpful for us. And it's mirrored in every other area of our life. We have all taken on false perceptions of the reality. We have all taken on false perceptions of ourselves. We all have limited views that need to be processed and expanded, liberated, eliminated, however you want to say it, so that we can be more of ourselves, that more of our energy can be liberated, that we can do more and be more because we have access to more information. We can hold more information. And this only happens by allowing those limiting beliefs to come up, to have those negative, uncomfortable emotions as we think what we think, and to say, okay, why am I thinking this? So my point here is this. This work on the physical plane alone is essentially useless and will most likely just turn into another diet, right? If we don't approach this work understanding that if we're not doing the mental work at the same time, if we're not doing our questioning work, okay, if we're not questioning the thoughts that feel painful, and we're not questioning our beliefs that feel painful, if we're not questioning our perceptions of the reality, if we're not able to say, the way that I'm seeing things might be wrong in the sense that it might be limited. I may be drawing conclusions about what I'm seeing that are not correct to the actual reality, right? It could be that what I'm seeing is true. I'm not necessarily, right? Like I remember when I was working with healing my eating disorder, right? I would look in the mirror and say, okay, well, it feels shitty to think I look fat. But to say to myself, I don't look fat doesn't feel true either. Like I am measurably overweight, right? Based on my BMI, I'm at the high end of the scale. I'm chubby. So to question my belief and to say, I'm looking in the mirror, I'm seeing that I look chubby, that makes me feel bad, so the truth is that I'm not chubby. Well, that wasn't true. I was. But I had to question what I was making that mean, right? The conclusion I was drawing about myself and about reality based on what I was observing, right? And to see that like, wow, okay, well, I'm making this mean that no one's ever going to love me, that no one's ever going to respect me, that I'm doing something wrong, that there's something wrong with me. I'm unattractive. No one will ever, that was my big thing. No one's ever going to respect me if I look like this. I have nothing to offer the world if I look like this. I am hindered from what I can do for others and what I can do for myself based on how I look. And that was the untrue thing, right? So it wasn't as straightforward as this belief that I'm chubby makes me feel bad, so the opposite is true. I'm not chubby. It wasn't so simple. It was, what am I making this mean? Why am I assuming this? What is actually so painful about this? And is that true? And I realized the thing that wasn't true is that I wasn't hindered by my body at all. I was hindering myself. I was holding myself back. I was the one making up all these rules about what people were going to think or not think about me, or about what I could or could not offer based on how I looked. And what had to change was me, right? I had to start saying, no, I'm worthy. I'm worthy of love. I'm going to start loving myself. I'm going to stop berating myself based on how I look. I'm going to stop assuming I'm doing something wrong. I'm going to stop dieting. I'm going to stop trying to lose weight. And I'm just going to live from, how do I support myself? Because that's how I want to feel, right? Making my body mean I'm not allowed to respect myself. Making my body mean I'm not allowed to nourish myself. That I need to be constantly on top of what I'm eating to try to be losing weight. Even that idea. I'm not allowed to be chubby. I have to be trying to lose weight all the time. That was a false belief. So I let all that go. And then I was liberated. I was able to be at that higher end of my weight range for the next year and feel totally different. Feel good about myself. Move in a direction that I wanted to move. And that was from changing my perception of myself and what my reality meant. So this is the thing. if we're not doing the questioning work, if we're not allowing our false beliefs to come up and not just simply saying, if it feels terrible, it's true. Or look at all this evidence that I have, it's true. Or saying, okay, if a negative thought or belief comes up and it feels bad, the opposite is true. And I'm just going to positive think my way out of this. If we're doing that, we're in a cul-de-sac. We need to be saying, what am I making this mean? What is the actual belief here? What am I perceiving about the reality that may be incorrect? And most of us never do this work because it takes such deep bravery and trust and real true bravery and commitment to finding truth. To say, I am clearly wrong how I'm seeing the world right now. And I'm not going to blame myself for that, number one. I'm not going to make myself feel bad. I'm not going to say I should have known better and I should know different and all these things. I'm not going to make myself wrong for perceiving the reality wrong. And the second thing is, I don't know what the right answer is. All I know is how I'm seeing it is incorrect because it feels terrible, but I don't know what the alternative is, right? So like in my mind, back in the day, it was either, right, there was no third option. There was either lose weight and feel good about myself or be overweight and have to hate myself. Those were the two options. There was no third option of love myself at this weight, but not in a way that I'm just resigning myself and giving up and I'll just eat chocolate for the rest of my life, right? It was this third option that was like, no, I need to start taking care of myself like I love myself and like I respect myself in this weight that I am, not trying to change my weight, right? That's a very complex third option. That took a lot of, okay, I'm letting go of these two options that I have because neither of them are working. And I'm going to be open to something far more complex that I have no idea about right now, right? I didn't know anyone in my life who was taking care of themselves, not already where they want to be, not in a way to try and get somewhere, but just because they love themselves how they are right now. But that's what I had to do, right? That was the third option. I'm going to just take care of myself and respect myself right here, right now. So it's not give up and just eat whatever I want, and I'm just saying whatever, it's great to be fat or chubby or whatever. And at the same time, I'm not saying, right? So that like the accepting being overweight as being just like who I'm going to be, so I may as well stop trying to be healthy. I may as well stop trying to take care of myself. I may as well just indulge in anything and do everything I want to do that I know is harmful for me because it's not making me lose weight, so I may as well just not bother, right? That was the one side. Or I'm just going to keep restricting, I'm just going to keep punishing myself, I'm just going to keep trying to lose weight, and one day I'm going to get to a point where I can love myself because I'll be thin and I'll figure it out. I let both of those go. I said, okay, what's the third option? And that is why this work is so hard. Because we let go of what we know. We have to let go of what we know. We have to do the questioning work. We have to say, all right, I've had these two ways of perceiving reality for my whole life, and neither of them are correct. Neither of them are getting me the result that I want. And because if they were correct, it would feel good, and it would be moving me forward. I would be evolving. And if that's not happening, there's something I'm not seeing. And I don't know what that thing that I'm not seeing is. I don't know what I'm not seeing. So I have to be willing to let go of what I have and have nothing for a while. To question everything that doesn't feel good. And to know that that means I'm going to learn something I'm not even aware I don't know right now. Right? That's brave. That's courage. That's how we grow. But so few people do it. And I'm saying that just like if we're doing our spiritual work and we're not addressing the physical, there's going to be a ceiling for where we can go with that. If we're not addressing the whole part of ourselves, if we're not taking our physicality with us, we become those spiritual people who cannot ground what we know. We can't live it. We can't do it because the physical body didn't come. But it's the exact same way that if we try and do this physical work without doing the spiritual questioning work, it's not going to work. There's going to be a ceiling to how much you can heal. There's going to be a ceiling to how healthy you can become, because your body is reflecting your negative core beliefs about yourself. You cannot get to high levels of functioning without understanding how the reality works. And if you're at low levels of functioning, we're not understanding. There's information you don't have yet. And so it doesn't matter what you do on the physical plane, you're never going to become complex enough to be at the level of health you want to be at. So if we're not doing the mental and emotional work, this isn't going to work. Okay? So moving forward. Number one, again, in the summary of this video, I'm going to be putting links again to all of the mental and emotional work that needs to go along with this. That if we're not questioning our negative beliefs, if we're not questioning the things that feel terrible, if we're not opening ourselves to seeing what we don't see right now, to knowing what we don't know right now, if we're not willing to say, okay, I may be totally out to lunch on something, I may be completely missing something, and I don't even know what I'm missing. I don't know what I'm not seeing. All I know is my two things aren't working, and I'm willing to admit my two things aren't working. There's a whole other thing I haven't seen, and I'm going to be open to that. We're going to get stuck. And the second thing, okay, and like we were just kind of carrying on in the last video, the protocols that I'm going to give when we start getting into protocol are going to be very clear, and they're going to be very small little steps. I'm not going to label phases. I'm not going to label levels. It's not anything about that. Okay? I'm going to make suggestions. You're going to try things on. If it works for you, right, you'll know it's going to be a little uncomfortable. It's going to be one step above where you're at, but it's not going to be dramatically different from what you're doing right now. That's what it's going to be. You're not going to take yourself to where you think the highest level is, because like that's what we talked about last night or last video. It's the same on the mental, emotional, physical levels. We're never going to get benefit from rushing to a phase we're not at. There is no benefit. Okay? I really want you to hear me say this. There is no benefit to going, if we're at phase 3, pretend that I'm just putting numbers just so to give a demonstration. And we say, okay, well, I'm going to go do what is appropriate for phase 7 because that's going to get me to phase 7 health. You're wrong. That's not going to work. If you're at phase 3 and you do phase 7, you're going to move back to phase 2. If you're at phase 3 and you do phase 4, you'll get phase 4 health. And then you'll get phase 5 health when you go into phase 5. And then to get to phase 6, you'll get phase 6 health. One step at a time. But if you go from phase 3 to phase 7, you're not going to get phase 7 health. You're going to get phase 2 health. You're going to degrade. And if we can understand that and we can accept that there is no benefit in rushing, and we can start to be honest with ourselves that we're saying, I have this hope that if I rush, I can skip the journey, or I can get there faster, or I can just heal faster, or this is all going to happen so much faster than I want it to. Okay, we got to be honest with ourselves. Why are we rushing? Why are we not doing the questioning work? What hope are we placing in something to magically save us? And why are we doing that? We need to question everything. We have to question everything. So this work is deep, and it's wide, and the breadth is wide. And we need to be very honest with ourselves. And so I'm saying, right, I know we're all going to do it. We're all going to jump ahead. We're all going to skip. We're all going to try and spiritually bypass. We're all going to try and toxic detox. Everyone's going to do it. But I've said it. Okay? That is not the point of this. It's not going to work. And when you're ready, you'll hear me. One step at a time. We do the processing one step at a time. We don't force that. We do the physical stuff one step at a time. We don't force it. We do it all together. Go slow, because that's the best way. And your slow might be different than my slow. You get to determine it.